story. As
still
we know.
a developing story. Mm-hmm. So if you folks, you can still call in, talk to us about it too. You know, I mean, we've passed our point in the show about it, but that doesn't mean that we won't talk to you about it. If you want, go ahead and call in. That, or also we talked about the club shooting in Orlando. Call in, talk to us about that. Give us your thoughts about that kind of a landscape. Tell us what you think. Mm-hmm. We would love to hear what you people think on the subject.
Right, and we also touched base on the Paris attack that happened, was it like last November or December?
I think so. It's been some, I mean, time passes so strangely in relation to these events now because something happens and it gets stuck in our mind and then it moves on. But yeah, it's still pretty fresh for some of us in the music biz.
Right. But if you guys would like to help Christine Grammie's family, they do have a GoFundMe. So go GoFundMe.com/ or Christina Grammie, and you can go and help the family out on this whole horrible situation. So, yeah.
So while we're at it, let's move on a little bit. Some lighter material.
Yes,
we've got
a
little bit later in the show than we usually do, but hey, we had important stuff to talk about, so that's okay.
Yeah.
But this is our weekly segment, This Day in Music. It's a little bit of music history where I get to kind of school you on some things that happened today in different eras of the music landscape. Landscape's my word of the night, apparently. So, let's take a look and see what we've got. Here's a really, really excellent one. This is probably my favorite factoid of the day. In 1972, on this day, David Bowie released his fifth studio album. Now, this is his fifth album by 1972, which tells just how prolific he was in those early days. His fifth album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And it was a concept album telling the story of a fictional bisexual alien rock star named Ziggy Stardust. And it reached number 5 in the UK and number 75 in the US. And it's fitting, actually, you know, the theme of that album with what's going on today. David Bowie, of course, was always one to kind of experiment with different sexualities and things, and he wasn't afraid to portray these characters or to show that these things were out there. I mean, he was definitely a showman. He was not shy. He was still a private guy. He had his private home life, and but you know, he was pushing the boundaries of how we feel about these things as far back as 1972 and earlier. So, good man. I miss him already.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do.
A lot of us do. And even back then, people were pushing the envelope a little bit on where we are right now in being free to be ourselves. So without David Bowie pushing that envelope and being out there, we wouldn't be having our wide open who we are now. That's how I look at it anyway.
Another fun fact that's a personal fact for me is that I actually have an original copy of that album on vinyl. It's not in real good shape as far as the outer case and things go, so I don't think it's worth quite a whole lot of money. But you know what? It's not something I think I was really planning on selling at any point anyway. It's sounds awesome. It doesn't have much in the way of scratches or skips. It's very nice. I don't get to listen to it half as often as I'd like, but it's one of the treasures of my small vinyl collection.
Mm-hmm.
But a few more facts of what happened today. Here's another really big one. In 1980, The Blues Brothers, starring John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, premiered in Chicago. The film also featured Aretha Franklin, James Brown, and Ray Charles. And that, of course, was a defining film in musical filmography, I guess you could say. It set the tone for a lot of the various different musical films that came out afterwards. Even if it was a fictional band, it was still pretty big, and it still has a huge cult following today. I mean, there's people that are younger than me who absolutely love the Blues Brothers, who weren't really even born when it came out, and just absolutely love it. Like, they will stop everything and watch it if it's on TV. If you say that you're going to watch it at a party, they're instantly there.
Who wouldn't love who doesn't love the Blues Brothers? I mean,
well,
really.
absolutely. I mean, it had comedy, it had music, it had so much good stuff in it, and it didn't take itself too seriously, but it didn't dumb it down too much either. It was a good blend of everything, and it was probably one of the high points of Belushi's film career.
Yeah, totally agree.
Let's see. I think I have. I think I have. Well, I have a couple other ones here, but I don't know if I have a lot of really good ones. But here's one from '96. The list of bands including Rage Against the Machine, the Beastie Boys, Smashing Pumpkins, the Fugees, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, John Lee Hooker, Beck, Sonic Youth, Yoko Ono, De La Soul, and Richie Havens all appeared at the 2-day Tibetan Freedom Concert in Golden Gate Park, San Francisco.
Wow.
It was a sellout crowd of over 100,000 that made it the largest U.S. benefit concert since Live Aid in 1985.
Nice.
Killer lineup, let me tell you. Killer lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted a slice of the 90s and who was really, really, doing what they do around that time frame, that's a killer lineup right there.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. God, good old days. I miss the old music already. I mean, I like all our music now. They're really awesome, but you're just like, wow.
Oh yeah, I'll have days where I'll go back through my music collection and I'll just listen to. I'll just ride a nostalgic wave of early '90s, late '80s, just good stuff, excellent stuff. Ooh.
Yeah. And I was actually shocked that Mackenzie actually likes to listen to the 80s when she gets into like, oh my gosh, the 80s were rocked. Even though I was born and raised in the 80s, and just like, wow. Well, not really born in the 80s, but raised in the 80s. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I of course showed up on the scene in the early 80s, and I remember most of it pretty clearly from as soon as I was able to remember such things. And one of my great memories that I have is riding in the back seat of my dad's old Subaru two-door, and it was very, very much an 80s machine, very kind of triangular vehicle. And I remember him having a cassette tape of the first Nine Inch Nails album that he would play on little trips to the store and stuff, and it stuck with me for a long, long time. And eventually, of course, I got into that band as I was growing up, and they've become one of my most influential bands, as you can tell from a lot of my music. And so it's just, funny how these things can lodge in our ears at such young ages and stick with us for so long.
Well, speaking of album, how is your coming along?
Well, there's a lot of good stuff about that. I'm actually starting my final run of promotion for it. I might as well start talking about it now. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I told Shells I didn't want this to suddenly turn into Spider Show. Da da da.
You should make a Spider Show. You know what? Now you said it, we're gonna make a.
But I do have a new album coming out. It'll be out on July 1st. It's under my full musical project name, which is, of course, Spider in the Hall, one big word. The album is called Gatecrasher, and it is about space pirates and Martian warlords and all kinds of good, crazy stuff. Killer robots, sci-fi goodness. It was a super fun album to make. I'll have little snippets and things showing up on Facebook very soon to start the final push for promotion. And in probably the last few days, I'll be telling people how they can get a hold of physical copies, which look so awesome. Trust me, I've got a whole box full of them. Oh, they look great.
I'm going to get a copy, right?
Definitely. Oh, man, they just look so gorgeous. It's probably the nicest album release I have ever ever spent money on, and I'm glad I spent the extra to get it done. I'm not going to go into specifics because it was a kind of a chunk of change, but it was well worth it. And if anyone out there enjoys the opening theme song to the show, of course, that's me. That's my project, Spider in the Hall, and the music isn't exactly like that for every song, but it's a similar style, and if you like sci-fi, and if you like killer robots and all kinds of craziness, space pirates, this is the album for you. So I'll be plugging it here and there in the next couple of weeks till it comes out.
Awesome.
Yay.
All right, so we got some projects coming up. So you mentioned for a while we've been wanting to do a spotlight show. And Spider and I have figured out we're going to do it together. I have Spider do it, but he doesn't have time to do a show by himself, and I don't have time to do it on myself. So what we're going to do about Spotlight's going to be the idea is for cover bands and true bands to have a spotlight for all themselves. We talk about their crafts and the legendary, but we can actually, if we don't have it, we can actually recraft it into spotlight for the legendaries. If we don't have a cover band or a tribute band to do this, so we'll talk about the legendary musicians, and we're going to do that show only as a special edition. It's not going to be full time like we do on Wednesday nights, so it's going to be a special edition. We are trying to do the debut on August 2nd. That's our date we want to try to do this. So we'll give you guys more updates when that comes in, because right now we're trying to figure out what times, because I want to make sure it's going to fit Spider's time frame.
It's still kind of a work in progress right now.
Yes.
We're definitely wanting to bring it to you. We just have to still work out all the final details on whatever we're doing, and then as soon as we know, you'll know. But
guarantee you, it will be about Prince, because I am almost ready to talk about Prince.
Shells is insistent. She's already decided she's got her stamp on it, so it has to be.
So yeah, I've been well, when I first started, I wasn't too sure who I was going to talk about. Maybe I was bringing back David Bowie, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, you can't. My purple Prince is gone. No, and I wasn't ready to talk about it, but I'm ready. August 2nd, I'll be ready. I'm in the mourning period right now over Prince. So, yeah. Anyway, shows coming up. On here, let's talk about the music. We got really, really awesome shows. Well, we always have awesome shows. So let's start out from next Wednesday. We are taking a break from talking to musicians. I know that's part of the whole thing, but we are branching out of that mold, where we're going to branch out into the music industry. So we do have a band manager who's going to come on and talk about his part of the world, what you guys can do, what band managers do. If you guys have questions, this is your time to talk about how to get a band manager. And you want to know the truth, the lies, what behind the music scene. Next Wednesday, the 22nd, is the show for you guys. And that's mainly I'm giving you guys a phone number now to get you guys prepared, because he's gonna Jeff from Who's Bad's band manager is going to be up for 4 hours. No breaks, no nothing. He's going to be here all 4 hours. I'll be playing music from the musicians that he represents. And what if I don't have anything left over from tonight's show, I'll play that too. But any other band managers who was listening in, I've been trying to get 2 more managers involved. If you guys are listening in, if you guys want to be part of it, and you want to shed some light on the back scenes of it, you are welcome to come on the show too. A band manager who is on my Facebook, talk about all this stuff. Say, hey, why don't you come to the show and talk about it? Oh, no. This is a show you want to do it. Do not find the courage inside your heart. Come on here and talk about. I have lots and lots of independent musicians who's coming at me. How do I get a band manager? where do I